everyone, and welcome to the Tilting Ground Untitled Notre Dame USC Football Podcast. I'm Michael Muto. I'm here with Notre Dame expert Greg Flamong. Greg, it's dark days for one of our teams, and maybe storm clouds are brewing for the other. How are you?
So the way the season is supposed to work is you have like 5 weeks where you're super nervous the whole week, and on the day of the game, like you never feel right because you want it to come, and so you're mentally prepared to just be totally freaked out for like 4 hours during the game.
Mm-hmm.
You can never be calm. You're always on edge, and you never come down until like the game's over. And then there's the weeks where you're supposed to just enjoy it. I enjoy college football. Oh, look at the colors, look at the fans, the band,
the pageantry.
The pageantry of everything. It's great. And this week was supposed to be that week for Notre Dame, and it was the opposite. Not so much from like a panic standpoint, because I was never actually worried that they would lose, but just from gosh darn it. This game.
Yeah.
This is not fun. I'm not.
Why am I paying attention to this one?
Yeah, I don't. This is not fun. And there's only 12 weeks of the season, Michael.
It's like I'm supposed to be seeing people's parents in the stands. We're supposed to be talking about freshmen doing things.
Exactly.
Want Jerry Tillery's trip to Africa being a highlight of the telecast.
Everyone's talking about, it's which freshman is going to play. Like every podcast this week from the beat guys, like what freshmen you think are going to get in the game. And I'll tell you how when the game is just going to be like this nail biter. We're squeaking it out against this crappy team. That's going to be that way when they show the pregame clips of all of their players taking pictures of Notre Dame Stadium the day before, soaking the pageantry, and this is their Notre Dame Stadium moment. I'm so sick of it.
And Doug Flutie playing toss with the opposing quarterback.
Yeah. Yes, Michael. And it's like this is like they're visiting freaking Disneyland. Jesus. Other than that, I'm great.
That was a pleasant weekend. Well, I mean, your weekend was better than mine, that's for sure.
Better than yours, Michael, because our week switched, right? You had your little tune-up game last week, and then this week was your big one.
The big one, Stanford.
Yes, sir.
And it didn't go well. It was a rough evening for the Trojans. I got to watch football all day long. I got to watch Fox's triple header. I was excited. It was a great day of college football. I had a ESPN Goal Line channel on my iPad next to me, so I had to do a dual screen.
Oh,
it was just a lovely morning. I was watching Colorado, Nebraska, go Pac-12. This is a great morning and afternoon of football. And then the USC game started, and I kind of don't remember anything after that.
So
I think Sam Darnold plays on Monday night, so I got that going for me, which is nice.
So before we get into the game itself,
okay.
How did you feel in the lead up? Were you confident?
I was confident.
Okay.
Kirk Herbstreit picked USC, which I thought was very strange since he usually doesn't root for Pac-12 teams, though it was 2 Pac-12 teams facing each other.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple other things. Noted curmudgeon Scott Wolf had it as a close game, which made me think, okay, if he thinks it's close, that means they're in this thing. I still thought everything I said on the podcast last week held true, or was going to hold true. It was, it's a similar game as last year, and they won last year. They beat Stanford in the Pac-12 title game. I mean, they beat Stanford. It's what they do, and I just felt good. I felt okay. I felt like it was going to be a game,
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't the case.
It was a game. So for anyone listening, if there's Notre Dame fans listening who don't really know, Stanford prevailed 17-3. They didn't get too much from Bryce Love. They had a couple of big runs from him. There was like a 30-something yarder on the first drive of the game, and then a 59-yarder later
Yeah.
So he was 22 for 136 and a touchdown. But other than that, like there just wasn't a ton of offense from either team.
No touchdowns in the second half.
Yeah, so it was Stanford had 342 total yards, 332 for USC. Stanford ran for just 159 on 29 carries, 5.5 yards a carry, 183 through the air, no interceptions, no turnovers, which was key. USC turned the ball over 3 times. JT Daniels with 2 interceptions, and I believe he had a lost fumble as well.
Yes,
That was
on the fourth down.
The fourth down, that's right. JT Daniels finished 16 of 34 for 215 and those 2 interceptions. I didn't think they actually ran the ball bad. They
did okay.
They finished with, JT Daniels had minus 20 on the ground. So if you take that away, the running backs, they accounted for 134 on, I guess it would be 32 carries. So I don't know. I like those guys. Tyler Vaughn's had a pretty big game, 7 catches for 84 yards. They just couldn't get traction, Michael.
No, they couldn't.
And they got down to the 8 ball. They got behind the 8 ball early. Stanford took the opening kickoff and went right down the field and scored a touchdown. They converted a big 3rd and 9 for the first down of the game.
That one hurt.
And then they just rolled down the field from there.
I mean, look, USC was always within 2 touchdowns at worst.
Yeah, I mean they were.
It was like, well, it's not that bad.
They were never out of it, but then you got the sense in the fourth quarter, like this 14-point game feels like a lot more, just because. I mean, they could barely get to the red zone.
Yeah,
they got to the red zone. I think it was just the one time, and they got the field goal. Maybe there's another time I'm not thinking of, but.
Maybe at the end, they might have
were they in the red
zone?
Been in the red zone. They were probably down there, but it was just the end. So, I don't know, Michael. Take it away. I mean, what do you?
Let's just start from this. Let's go top down.
Okay.
So, in the last 25 years, USC has only been held without a touchdown 3 times. Once was against Washington 25 years ago or whatever. So who cares? The other 2 times were in Clay Helton's term as head coach, Alabama, and last Saturday for Stanford. That's pretty impressive that one guy's done it twice.
You know what, man? You got to make the history books in some way. And, some ways are better than others, but being in the history books, you are there no matter what.
So that's just something to think about as we talk about all this, is that twice in Clay Helton's 10 years head coach, USC has not scored touchdowns in the game. So it's very embarrassing. How do I feel? I don't know. I just hate it. I hate it. I hate looking at a team that just looks like they don't have a game plan anywhere, like anywhere on the ball. They barely got pressure on passing plays. I love watching just the DBs just in man coverage. It's okay. So that's great. So Stanford only runs 2 wide receivers, so each cornerback is covering the wide receiver. So that means there's 9 other guys, and I don't know what they're doing. So it just boggles my mind. It's like, oh yeah, Greg Johnson's a freshman. Sure, guard Stanford's best wide receiver. Whatever, he lined up on your side. No big deal. It's like we don't need to scheme. We just play man, guys. That's what we do. It worked out, but it just makes me laugh. Offense is just, they never get a rhythm. If something works, they never do it again. Long developing plays with bad blocking. I don't get it. I don't get what they're trying to do. I don't get what they're trying to set up. It's like, hey, I feel like they have this weird script they're trying to run, and then about halfway through the game, they just duck it and go, well, we got good athletes. Let's see what happens. It's just, I just hate it. I hate not knowing what's happening. Like when I watch, let's see. What was the game I was watching? I don't know. Even like Nebraska, they lost. They didn't look that great. But like I had an idea of what they were doing. Like, oh, okay, this is what they're trying to set up. They're trying to get the ball to this guy. They're trying to run these plays because then they can run this other play off that. They run action this way to counter it that way. Amon-Ra St. Brown, probably one of the best players in the field. Shocking because he's 18 years old, but he didn't get touches till like the third quarter. It's just, what are you doing?
That was interesting.
And then they asked Clay Helton about it. He goes, "Oh yeah, we had the Ocho package." It's like, well, were you not running it? Like, it's like, okay, so you had a package set up for this guy, and he couldn't get the ball until the third quarter. Neat. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know what they're not trying to do. It's just mind-boggling. No screens. Their tight end's playing terrible. And he's usually like a pretty clutch guy, Tyler Petit, and he's missing blocks. He's dropping passes. So it's like, okay, well, you got 5 good wide receivers. Let's just split it out. Let's see what happens. Or let's use a fullback instead of a tight end. I don't know. Like, just try something else. It's just no imagination. No, there's never any urgency. They're always lollygagging around, setting up late.
Yeah.
It's just no urgency whatsoever from the USC sideline ever in the history of the Clay Helton era. It just makes me so mad. It just makes me so mad. You get this poor freshman quarterback. Okay, roll the pocket out. Give him a little time. Help him out. Nah, we're just going to stick him back there and see what happens. Like, that's all they hope for. It's like, oh, we have better wide receivers in their corners. Our quarterback's, the best freshman in the nation, best pocket passer, whatever. So we should be fine. Whatever we think of should work because our guys are supposed to be better than yours. It's like, okay, that's a terrible plan, but let's keep doing it.
So if you remember prior to week 1, I was wondering about why it was that JT Daniels won the quarterback competition, because he was really good, or if it was because, I don't want to say by default, but maybe he was the best of maybe a not great group.
Okay.
And I think we saw, because what did he? What did they officially?
He bruised his hand. He has a bruise on his hand.
It was his hand.
Yeah.
Okay. So he went out for a series. And they actually moved he went out for a series, and I think it was the first quarter, right?
Yeah, it might have been like
it was the first quarter into the second. I think.
Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
So Daniels goes out, and Matt Fink comes in, and it was pretty clear they didn't want him to throw.
It was obvious. It was very clear.
Yeah, I mean, after like 3 or 4 plays, it was like, oh, okay, they don't want to throw the ball with this guy, and they were actually moving it, running. He had a little 5-yard run there, and then Cedric Ware, Stephen Carr, like they were gaining traction. And I think this was the drive. I want to say it was like a 40-yard drive.
Okay.
They got down to the Stanford 35 or some such.
This had the long field goal miss at the end, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you could just kind of tell, like they don't feel like they don't want to take a chance with
this
him.
Kid's not throwing the ball.
No, he's not throwing it. And it just made me think, okay. So that kind of informs me about JT Daniels and how good he might be. And the thing is like I don't understand why Stephen Carr isn't a bigger part of what they're trying to do.
Because they have 3 good tailbacks and they got to get them all worked, right? Come on.
The thing is, though, is that like they do have 3 good tailbacks, but like Cedric Ware ends up with 18 carries for 59, and Stephen Carr ends up with 10 for 52.
Right.
Like he needs to have the 18.
The success rate stat you talked about in the season preview, I saw somewhere, and Cedric Ware's was terrible for this game. It was in the range that you had mentioned in the season preview, and like Stephen Carr's was great.
I kind of look at it like what if I was on the defense? Who do I want out there? And I don't want number 7 out there.
Yeah, because you got to worry about him.
He's explosive. You have to work, like you're always thinking. It's always intimidating.
I think he gets tired though. Is the knock on him at the moment? I don't think he's in.
Oh, he doesn't have the. Oh,
game
okay.
shape.
If he doesn't have his win, then I kind of understand.
Because I saw a couple times where he was tapping his helmet
Oh, got it.
in the
Okay.
background, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't good."
Okay. Well, then that makes sense then. I mean, if he's winded, he's winded. I mean, he's the kind of guy like they need to work into shape because it's always intimidating when you're going up against someone on the other side who's faster than you. And he's faster than probably most of the players on the field. I mean, he's explosive, he's powerful, he runs hard. Like honestly, I thought all the running backs were running really hard. They didn't have. It was one of those games where I feel like I don't know. I don't watch USC enough to really know, what their plays are. Like with Notre Dame, I have a good idea of like what every play is. With USC, it's like I don't really know what they run on a regular basis.
Well, let me tell you, neither do people who watch all the time.
That's funny. So it's hard for me to say like, oh, why didn't they run this play or that play? But it just seemed like they were moving the ball well enough on the ground to where they should have been able to complement it better with the passing game. And it's just like you're running the wrong plays because you have Michael Pittman.
Who's bigger, who's more physical than whoever he's playing.
You have Michael Pittman, you have Tyler Vaughns, and you have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like they can get open. Yeah. And you're moving the ball on the ground. So you should be able to find a way to get these guys the ball. Now, I mean, there were times when Daniels, he was a freshman against a really good defense and wasn't seeing the field very well. And, he's kind of looking one way and he's trying to force the ball into spots instead of just kind of scanning and finding the open player. And it just eventually it killed every drive. And I think it came down to, what we were talking about with Notre Dame against Michigan is, the fact is like they did move the ball pretty well on the ground, but their long run was 14 yards.
Which isn't great.
Which it's, you're not getting that big chunk play. It's like, oh, now we're in the scoring range. Like now we're at the 20.
Right. I mean, yeah, like we said, they were only in the red zone twice.
Yeah, like they had to do so much work to get down there. And eventually, if you run enough plays with a young guy like that, like he's going to do something wrong, he's going to make some mistake, and then it's going to kill your drive. And that just kept happening over and over again. And that was what Stanford did. Like they gave up first downs, but they gave up a couple big pass plays, like one near the end to Tyler Vaughns when it was just like, we're not getting hurt by field goals at this point. So who cares? And they gave up a kind of a long one to Michael Pittman that led to a field goal. And there was some shaky red zone play calls down there. But I mean, that's T. Martin, I guess.
Yeah, that's the word on the street is T. Martin's calling plays this year.
Yeah. And so, and then you had a kind of a big one, Amon-Ra St. Brown right at the end when they threw the interception. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I just feel like there's so much offensive potential on this team. I thought the defense played great. I don't know. You gave up one drive in the first half or in the first quarter, and then you give up it was a killer.
The weird quick one before halftime.
It was a killer. I mean, you got, what was it, 3rd and 20-something? And they get the tight end up the seam.
I mean, that was open all day.
It's just a killer. I mean, that's so deflating because that was when I think USC was poised to go down and score. And then they just, they messed that up. And then Stanford, I think that was wasn't that a fumble or there was an interception or something?
No, it was like a 4th and something, 4th and mid yardage, and then they JT Daniels under pressure. Yeah, they went for it.
That's right. Okay, and then instead of USC scoring, Stanford goes down and scores. Yeah. Now it's 14-3. So, other than that, I thought the defense played fine. I mean, 320 yards of offense.
Yeah, This is a Heisman candidate. This is, a pretty good offense that didn't score a touchdown in the
I
second
mean,
half.
Bryce Love had like 100. He had like 110 on 2 carries.
Yeah,
or
just like
100.
last year.
Yeah, like he had 100 or 90 on 2 carries, and then he has 40 on the other 20. So
I mean, no sacks, so that's not great.
no,
Because they got some okay pressure every now and then.
yeah,
Because KJ Costello took some shots
he did.
from Porter Gustin, but no sacks, so who cares? No interceptions, no fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they did the best they could, and they were always on the field. So I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. It's just a sad day in Trojan Town.
I mean, from here you go to Texas.
The revenge game? As Fox wants you to believe.
Oh my god, that was great. I texted Michael during the game. For some reason, Fox wants us to believe that somehow these regular season games between unranked Texas teams and USC are somehow deserving of the same, standing as the 2006 national championship.
Yeah,
game.
totally.
It was like a decade ago for one, and for two, like no, they are not revenge. They are nowhere near anything like that. Like stop comparing it to that. Anyway.
Yes, it's a real road game. It's going to be full of burnt orange.
And they need the game.
JT Daniels has a hurt hand.
Yeah. Matt
Fink can't throw, so
yeah, they need to get healthy quick, and they need to get it figured out quick. I think that I don't know about this Ocho package or whatever. I don't know why you need a package for a receiver, but
to
whatever.
Get the best player of the ball. I don't know.
Yeah, the guy, he is magical. Like
he's real good.
The throw at the end.
I can't believe he did. He almost scored a touchdown. He almost scored the touchdown. His foot was like an inch over the back line.
Well, that was an incredible catch. I think that was the first ball they threw to him.
Yeah.
And so they threw the ball in the back of the end zone. He caught it, but he landed out of bounds. He had a catch up the seam, his 28-yarder. He's directly in line with the pass, and there's no real place for the ball to go. And Daniels throws it behind him, and he just makes a perfect adjustment for the ball in the air and just snatches it out. I mean,
he's great.
It's just this kid he's something else.
Yeah.
So you just got to give him more.
Just throw it to him.
I want to say they gave him maybe 4 or 5 targets in the course of the game. He needs more. You got to give him double digits. You got to give him the ball on reverses. I thought he was the punt returner.
I guess they don't trust the freshman.
They put Tyler Vaughn's back there.
Yeah. Didn't he catch one running towards the goal line over his shoulder?
He did.
I mean, other than that, I don't have my usual special teams complaints. So, that's just picking nits in this one. But still.
Yeah, I think you gotta just. You got to give him more chances.
Any time you can get number 8 the ball, you have to do it.
Especially in this game, in a game like this, like you can't waste him. Like I always feel like this kid, he has limited games. Like he's gonna be around for 3 years.
Yeah,
get the most out of him. Throw him the ball. So,
yeah, it blows my mind. It just blows my mind.
The other great part of the whole thing, the whole experience, was Clay Helton just standing there, not talking to anybody, like not on a headset. Like he's wearing a headset, but he's not talking into it.
That picture is going around USC internet, by the way, just so you know.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's classic.
His mouth's open.
Yeah. Like not talk and just looking at the field, like
leader of men.
He's trying to figure it out. Like there is an answer. I know it, and it's out there. And if I just look at the field for long enough, it'll come to me. And it's not coming. And I just, please, Michael, let him win 9 games this year.
I can't wait. It's going to happen. They're going to win the Pac-12 South.
Please do it. Please do it. He needs to be around.
Just quick update though. Did you see that Herm Edwards and Arizona State beat Michigan State?
I did.
That's my fears are coming true.
You know what that's called, Michael?
Luck.
That's called
desert heat.
That's called smoke and mirrors. That's what that's called.
Okay, let's hope. Let's hope my worst nightmares aren't coming true.
I've seen it, Michael.
Okay,
trust me.
All right.
I've seen the future.
What else do you want to know about how I'm feeling about this? Is there anything else? I'm just miserable. I'm absolutely miserable. It ruined my Saturday night watching this garbage game. Like it's one thing when you lose and you score touchdowns, and it's another thing when you don't even score touchdowns. Like no one wants to see punting and field goals.
Look at it like this, Michael. Is this game like obviously you want to win the game, right?
Right.
But the game coming up this week is the one. Because it's like, you play a team like Stanford, and it's not like they were favored. They were not.
Would you like what I text you? Clay Helton was 1-8 as an underdog.
Yes.
Against the spread in his tenure.
Yes, very hopeful.
So he's 1-9 now.
Yeah. So they were underdogs with the freshman in his second start on the road against a good team. And that's a good program.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So, you lose that game. You didn't get embarrassed, right? Not scoring a touchdown is embarrassing, but it wasn't like
it's not Jim Harbaugh, Pete Carroll style.
Yeah, it wasn't like a boat race, This win this week, though, you lose at Texas, who lost to a trash program like Maryland. And it's like, okay, now we have a losing record.
Yeah.
And you lose to a team like Texas, and now it's like every game. Well, I don't want to say every game. A lot of the remaining games are now in play to be losses.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So,
and the morale. I mean, I guess the morale is probably already pretty low, but
no, I think you can bounce back from this.
Okay,
you can bounce back. Trust me.
I feel like just like head coach Clay Helton, the morale is always at whatever level it's at right now. Like it doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. It's just kind of blah with its mouth open.
He does find a way to rally the troops, Michael.
But he does, yeah, that's it. We're gonna rally around JT Daniels. We're gonna play good football.
You got to keep him around, Michael.
I bet you want that.
I do.
All right. Well, there's no line for USC Texas at the moment. I checked before. I think it's because JT Daniels hurt his hand.
But he played the whole second.
I don't know.
Is that
it said JT Daniels ? And he says he's getting an MRI. I think tomorrow. This is Sunday night. Tomorrow's Monday. There a lot of lines weren't up yet, so I don't know. I don't tell you, but I'm 0-2 at picking USC games. By the way, if you're scoring at home. But the other side of this podcast, Notre Dame expert Greg Vermong is 2-0 at picking his team's games. And he got last week's game against Ball State right. He thought that Notre Dame would win by 34 points, and they did not.
I didn't get it right in the sense that, and like I said, they'll pull away late.
Not hang on to win.
I didn't say recover an onside kick to seal the game. I mean, it's kind of alarming when you say to yourself, they had to recover an onside kick in this game to ensure victory.
Well, it was all fun and games early when I made my joke that Ball State's been ducking their interstate rival Notre Dame all these years because Notre Dame scored in like the first minute and a half, and then it got less fun and gamey. Notre Dame did not look great. Quarterback Brandon Wimbush did not look great. Another team that had some issues game planning, it looked like Notre Dame. They are a running team. It looked like they were throwing a whole heck of a lot.
They dropped back a lot, Michael.
It just straight dropped. At least they roll out, though.
35 dropbacks. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of play action. There was a lot of play action rolling out. and our quarterback not knowing what to do about that.
That's different. That's a different problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. What happened to running the ball? What happened to Brandon Wimbush running the ball? What happened to design quarterback runs, read option, all that stuff?
Yeah. So okay. It was like a blue gold game. It was like the spring game.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, they play the spring game pretty much the way that they did on Saturday.
Like trying new things.
Trying new things, dropping back, just kind of hurling passes, like that kind of intensity. And the thing with our quarterback, and I put it on Twitter, but I put it in reference to 3rd and 9. So what happens is when you have a quarterback like Brandon who isn't accurate, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, like these are difficult downs for him because he's not an accurate player. So I mean, if it was 3rd and 9 against air, right?
It's still tough for him.
And it was like, yeah, if there was no defense and no rush, and it was like, hey, drop back and let go of it. Like, don't, try to throw it the way it needs to be thrown. I bet you'd come up with about the same results. He's not accurate. And in the whole preseason, Brian Kelly was talking about how he knows his quarterback now. They know what he is, they know what he can do, and they know what he can't do. So we're not going to ask him to do what he can't do anymore. And then you go into this game, and the whole time I'm thinking to myself, if this game was for the national championship, they would not have called the game the way that they did.
What would they have done?
They would have run him. They would have been aggressive. They didn't call any design runs. They didn't run RPOs the way, they didn't really put him in position to be keeping the ball on the read options. They did run RPOs, but they didn't run the read options.
Right.
The ones where it's like he's reading the defensive end and making a decision. And the few times that they did, he was giving the ball up. And I was telling you last week, like, the thing with not playing Michigan is it's not that, like, and a lot of people say, like, oh, like the team goes out and they think that they can just go half motion or whatever. They can just walk out there and take over. It's not how it works. Like, you don't think that way as a player, but there's no way there's the same adrenaline. You don't have the same adrenaline. Like, when you go into the game the night before, in the lead up, you don't have that laser focus on what you have to do. Your mind is free to think about other things because you don't have that stress. And it's not a conscious choice to be like, we can just walk through this. Like, you just can't manufacture that kind of intensity against a team like Ball State. And it shouldn't matter, right? It doesn't mean that you don't care. It doesn't mean you're not trying hard. It doesn't mean when the game starts you're not fully invested. It just means that it's a different level. And
I think just frustration sets in faster. It's like,
it does, because
this isn't supposed to be happening right now.
Right. And it not only do the players feel it, but the fans feel it too. And the players feel the fans feel it. And you know who feels it the most? The quarterback. Brandon feels that stuff. And
I really enjoy that you call him by his first name. That's my favorite development.
Well, what am I supposed to say? Can I say?
No, it's your thing. You call him Brandon. I like it.
I call him Brandon.
You have a thing.
He's
like your guy too. I feel like you are like you're riding with Brandon.
I am riding with Brandon.
And if things go well and he gets in the Heisman race, or probably not after this one, but if things go well, like, you're gonna have to let people on the bandwagon.
And the thing with him,
gatekeeper.
You can always tell when he is in his brain, when he's thinking. You can always notice it. It's just his body language. Like, he's not decisive. Because the other thing is, is they didn't call a bunch of run plays for him, but he
Mhm.
also didn't scramble the way that he could have. Like he didn't tuck and run.
He's kind of lollygagging back there, looking to throw.
Right. He's thinking, I don't want to run. I'm gonna stand here and wait for someone to come open. He took so many sacks just running around, looking for someone, try to evade and stuff. And it's like you're trying to make a play on the one hand, but on the other hand, it sounds aggressive in that you're trying to make a play, but it's actually passive.
Right.
Be decisive. Make a decision.
It's like you know what you should be doing.
Right. Let go of the ball and tuck and run. Because you wouldn't be doing that. You wouldn't be lollygagging around in the backfield against a team like Michigan. You would get flushed. You would go. You feel pressure. You go. Instead, he's kind of ducking in and out. He doesn't really know.
Looking around.
Yeah, it's 4th down. I'm going to sail this ball. Like it's just
okay.
Like and for the coaches, they need to feel that too. And if you feel like he can't get there if you call a run for him, then put in the backup. Because this is the perfect game to do that because you're not going to lose them because you pulled them against Ball State. And you're like, hey, man, like you need to get your head in the game. Like you need to clear it up. Like there was a play late in the third quarter when he took a sack. And I was like, okay, like I'm pulling him. Not so much because of performance, but because of like you can't take a sack in that spot.
We're gonna need you to clear your head. We're gonna need someone who's paying attention here.
I'm gonna put in this guy, and it's gonna shock everybody. It's gonna shock the team. It's gonna shock your quarterback. It's like you can't take that sack. Like you're a senior on this team. This is your team, and you're running around like taking sacks and losing yardage when if you don't feel it, like if you don't see it, you need to throw it away. Like it's your responsibility. You're accountable. You can't just take losing yards. You can't lose 4 or 5 yards on first down. We're trying to do something here. And I'm not saying he played terrible. He made some great throws, and I'm not even saying the play calls are bad play calls. Like I could probably sit down in a room with the offensive coordinator and be like, this is why I called the play and this is who is open right now.
It was execution, not.
And it's like, and it's like, yeah, that's great. But we know that he's not good at this. So if you want to call these plays, then put him in his backup. At least he's better at it. Right?
Right. So I have a hot takey kind of question.
Okay.
All right. I was watching the game and, I did the season preview with you. Are Notre Dame's running backs not good?
Are they not good?
I feel like we're all, coming pretty hard on Brandon Wimbush. And if you're supposed to be a running team with RPOs and read options and all that stuff, it's kind of hard to do the run play option or the read if everyone knows you can't give the ball to the running back because he's terrible.
I don't think they are. I don't think they're terrible.
Okay.
In that sense. But like Jafar Armstrong, like their starter, like he was a receiver last year.
Yeah.
And he was a receiver in high school. So it's not really his thing. I mean, and I put on Twitter, like they missed Dexter Williams this year or in this game because A, he's the best running back on their team. And B, like he's the kind of guy that Ball State doesn't see. You don't see a guy like him, like big, powerful, explosive. It's like Stephen Carr.
Right.
You just don't see guys like that. And so they miss him. He won't be back until Stanford. So they got 2 more games till Dexter. Tony Jones Jr., like, he's okay. He's not great, but they're not so bad where it's like we don't have to worry about them.
Okay.
Like, because, I mean, you give Jafar Armstrong a crease, like he'll, like in the second play of the game, he'll go back.
He can run straight. I mean,
yeah, so it's like you give him room and he'll hurt you. But they're not the type of guy where it's like, oh, we didn't, we missed a couple blocks, but it's okay because he made some people miss and made a play. Like it's not like that. But the best running back on your team is the quarterback, unfortunately. So right at this point. So
something to think about. That's all. Just putting it out there for us, the Notre Dame fans, to think about that. Kind of having the back burner as we go into.
I'll put it like this. Stephen Carr, Aka Cedric Ware, and probably Vevey. I bet you they would all start.
Okay.
I'll put it like that.
Yeah.
So.
Velus Jones might start at running back for Notre Dame.
Is he a running back?
No, he's a wide receiver. That was a wide receiver converting to running back.
He probably would, yeah. Amon-Ra would start.
I mean, he could start for any team anywhere. He probably could be someone's left tackle.
He could.
Let's be real. All right. Let's see. Defense looks pretty good. I mean, once Ball State got rolling, it's kind of one of those things you knew what was going to happen. But 2 interceptions by a safety, that hasn't happened in years.
Didn't happen last year.
So that's got to be exciting for you.
Yeah.
The corners played all right. What was it, over 100 plays on defense? That's tough.
I guess it came out to 97.
Okay.
I mean, that's insane.
That's a lot of plays.
That's a game and a half.
Yeah.
It's a game and a half of plays. Like Ball State had like a 19-play drive on their first possession. They just couldn't get off the field. I mean, their quarterback, like he didn't have good numbers. It's like you feel like during the game, I was like, man, this guy, he's pretty good. Like he's getting Notre Dame pretty good. And you look at his numbers, and he's like 10 of 27.
Yeah.
Like he finished the game 23 of 50 for 180 yards. I mean, he threw 50 passes for 180 yards.
That's not good.
Like 3.6 per attempt. Like I've never seen that. That's terrible. But then they move the ball.
I mean, they get big plays, 3rd downs, 4th downs.
Yeah.
They converted 4 4th downs, I think.
They were 8 of 23 on 3rd downs. They were 3 of 3 on 4th down.
3. That's pretty good.
They had 24 first downs in the game.
That's a lot for a team like Ball State.
Well, let's just for comparison purposes, they had 349 yards of total offense. And they had 24 first downs. USC had 342 yards of total offense. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Stanford, 342 yards of total offense, 13 first downs. I mean, they had the same amount of yards and 11 more first downs in the game. They found ways to
grit it out.
The ball. Yeah, they found ways to stay on the field. And look, I put it on Twitter a bunch that they didn't get called for holding one time.
You did say that.
Now look, and I'm not saying that because I feel like that's why it was close or whatever. 97 plays, 0 holding calls. It's impossible.
But there were not a lot of flags in general.
There were only 5 penalties called in the whole game.
So it's not like Notre Dame was getting, penalty to death.
No. What I'm saying is like,
right. I know what you're saying.
Call the penalties that are there. I mean, we got guys getting tackled in the backfield. I mean, Drew Tranquil comes through on a blitz and he just gets tackled right in front of the guy. Like you're right there.
It's clean. It's a clean block.
They don't call it. It's like, well, wait a second.
That's how they play in the MAC.
If that's not a hold, then what's a hold? Like you're never going to call it, and they didn't. To their credit, I guess
they kept it consistent.
It's like an umpire whose like strike zone is 3 feet off the plate.
Like this is what I think a strike is.
This is my strike zone.
This is how we're playing today, guys.
Yeah. So but that's difficult, right? When you're trying to get a pass rush,
right?
And they're holding our players. So, and it's like that's why you stay on the field for 97 plays, because holding is a drive killer. So, I mean, when they average when they run 97 plays and they average 3.6 yards a play, like losing 10 yards, pretty big deal.
That's a big one.
So, like it's 21-6 and they're driving and they're ready to put them away like early in the third quarter and the ball's tipped and then it goes off Boykin's hands and it's intercepted.
Right.
And it's like, we're just getting ready to blow this team out here. And then those goofy things keep happening.
I thought it was very funny that earlier in the week I sent Greg a text message with an article that said most offensive scoring drives come after receiving a punt, not turnovers or missed fourth downs or missed field goals and stuff. And then the two games our teams played, like there are a lot of points off turnovers, a lot of points off not converting on fourth down. It's like, of course, the 1 week I sent the article.
Right. It was just, it's bad. Like like Brandon, he got really down. He started kind of just getting frustrated, and it's like they go for it on fourth down, they don't get it, and the crowd is starting to like, oh, and then like you got Doug Flutie cheering for Ball State. Everything's great.
I knew Notre Dame. The nerves started coming out when I want to say it was towards the end of the second quarter. It might have been the third, but I think it was second quarter. On Twitter, everyone made the same joke of why don't we run the Ian Book handoff touchdown play? And I saw it like 3 or 4 different places. And I was like, oh, yeah, I could. The nerves are coming out.
So I don't understand that, by the way.
Whether that's like.
Well, that I don't, but then I kind of do. Because actually, I totally understand it. It's just weird. Because Brandon.
So let's say we're talking. So when Notre Dame gets to the goal line, they put their backup quarterback in for some reason. And the running back always scores a touchdown when he hands it off to him.
And it's like a goal line package.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is Brandon, like what we said last week, like he was great in the red zone last year. He had 14 rushing touchdowns. Their touchdown red zone percentage was something like 80-something%, which is unheard of at Notre Dame. They were awesome. But if you just look at Brandon the player, you think he's not especially accurate and he's not an especially good decision maker with the ball. So, and it's like Ian Book is a pretty good runner himself. So it's not like he can't run at all.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's a better decision maker passer down there, then maybe it's better to have him play in the scoring area. So I get that on the one hand. On the other hand, you have a guy who's already shown he's good in the red zone. But, I mean, there's going to be a point when, in a big game, when they put Ian Book in the game in the red zone and it doesn't work out, and Brian Kelly's going to get killed for it.
Well, they're going to run the passing play that they've been setting up.
Right.
For 7 games.
And it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
And Ian Book's going to run around and he's going to try to run it in. He's going to get sacked or something.
Yeah.
And Brian Kelly's going to get killed for it. 100% chance that happens.
I mean, that's what's going to happen.
Yes. So.
At least we all know when like Florida State rolls into town.
The thing that's good, though, I will say this for Brandon. If you're going to have your crappy games be against all the bad teams, then that's fine. Because we need good Brandon for like Stanford.
I mean, they still won, right?
They definitely won. And, I don't know what Vanderbilt, who's coming up right now. The thing is you can't really – it doesn't matter the opponent. Because Brandon is Brandon, right? If he has a good game, it doesn't matter. He can just as easily play really well against Vanderbilt running the same kind of stuff as he can have a bad one against Ball State. The opponent is kind of irrelevant. Like I said, he'll struggle against air. So that's the good thing about him is that it's like, yeah, he looks bad here, but he looked great against Michigan. So it's like that guy could just show up. So it's like you just kind of take it. Like, okay, we got bad Brandon for a game, and we won. So I feel like if you win a game when Brandon is playing poorly, then, or at least not at his best, then that's fine. You know? And look,
that makes perfect sense.
just get to Dexter. That's how I feel about it.
Get to Stanford.
Yes. Get to Stanford.
Let's see. So Vanderbilt's coming to Notre Dame Stadium. We got about 14 and a half point line. Depending on where you look. You're 2-0, Greg. What do you think? Giving or taking the points?
I'm going to give the points.
I agree.
They're not gonna have 2 duds in a row. And the thing is like they're not only are they not gonna have 2 duds in a row, but there were kind of some unlucky things that happened in the game. Yeah. Just kind of fluky stuff that I don't think will happen again, just because they normally don't.
Got it out of the system.
And you know what? Like, honestly, I like that Brandon turned the ball over and they won. I don't like that he turned the ball over, but it happened and they won the game.
Right.
So, you know, I don't think he's gonna.
He's not gonna throw 3 interceptions every game. I mean, hope
exactly. Not. Right.
That's a different problem.
But I don't think he will.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt did score 41 points last week.
Who did they play?
I don't remember.
I'm actually looking it up right now.
Who did they play?
I don't like that you just said that to me.
Sorry.
They played Nevada.
Oh. Notre Dame's played Nevada in the past.
In the past, yes. So Keyshawn Vaughn, I think he was going to come to Notre Dame too. Man, they might have some good players, bro.
That's all right.
Give me a second. Well, give me a second.
Okay.
Because maybe I'm going to change my mind. What is it? 14 and a half?
14 and a half for the Commodores.
How much you want to bet that gets to like 12 before the game?
Ooh. Then we'll like that even more.
11 and a half, something like that.
I don't think so.
You don't? Wait, what?
What?
Oh, I'm looking at Notre Dame, so I'm like, wait a second. Oh. I was like, Vanderbilt did not open with Michigan.
That's impressive. Vanderbilt beat Michigan.
Middle Tennessee State they opened with.
Yeah, they're not good. Isn't that Terrell Owens' alma mater? No, it's Tennessee Chattanooga.
I mean, their quarterback is a 67% passer, 4 touchdowns. Is he a runner too? Because if he is, I'm going to start to get very scared. He is not a runner.
Okay, that's good.
5 carries for 6. Let's see. Keyshawn Vaughn, 20 attempts, 130. 18 for 99. Yeah, I guess it's fine.
You're getting in your own head now.
Well, no, I'm just because I don't know anything about them. I stand by it.
What did you know about Ball State?
No, I didn't. It had nothing to do with the opponent.
That's what I'm saying.
I guess that's true. Yeah, give the points.
Yeah,
I don't want those points.
There we go. I like it. I like the confidence with you and Brandon.
Me and Brandon.
All right. Any other news and notes before we get out of here from Notre Dame?
No.
Okay. Just everyone light their candles for JT Daniels' hand.
Your buddy.
That's all I got. And the Ocho package. Light 2 candles in front of you. One for JT Daniels and one for the Ocho package.
He'll be fine. He's a good player.
Yeah. Follow Greg on Twitter. He's Greg2126. Find him at uhnd.com, writing articles all the time about the Fighting Irish. Follow us on Tilting Ground. New podcasts up every week. And fight on.
Go Irish.